He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall, and I guess you just rhyme with Bat Minutes!
Attention, citizens of Fair Gotham, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever, the show that does the research into random names so you don't have to. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And it is I, the man who is always ready to do any inexplicable thing and then claim that it's art. It's me, Niall McGowan.
Well, I mean, this podcast is art.
Yeah, this is one long art project.
It is. We're going to be displayed in the Guggenheim. I don't even know what the Guggenheim is. I just heard it on a movie.
I remember one of our mutual friend of me and John, Julie Martin, one time. I had no idea she was doing this until I seen her in the thing. But she did like an art installation one time where it was just her basically in her underwear, sitting in a window, cramming cake into her face. And she was just doing it like there wasn't like a crowd or anything. And I remember walking past and like just looking in and being like, is that Julie? And she was just like, with like chocolate cake all over her face, just cramming it in. And she was just like waving at me. So I was going past. And I was like, okay.
Oh, that's wonderful. And everybody, listeners, please wave to our new guest. We have a first-timer here in the credits. I don't know whether that's a blessing or a curse from their point of view. But we are joined by Phillip from the Ramones of the Day podcast.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, everybody who's waving.
Yeah.
I like the encouraged participation.
Yeah, I mean, it might be an audio-based medium, but we want people to be involved.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be audio-based in these minutes because we're out. All we got now is the audio and names. That's it.
But
you could an argument could be made that there is so much information.
Yep.
It's just not as vibrant as some of the other minutes that you've
To be fair, though, like it was kind of fortuitous that you were here, though, Phil, because you obviously did a podcast analyzing the Ramones music. So we do have a song here that we have yet to really scratch the surface of. Like we got the Ramones being a punk band, and U2, I think they started as a punk band, post-punk band. So I guess it's in the same wheelhouse, kind of.
That's always been my my weird contention with them, where I didn't come to U2 early on. I heard of them by the time they were superstars, and then they would say like, "Oh, we think of ourselves as a garage band," and I'm like, "What garage? What garage do you sound like?" They were or claimed to still be very influenced by the Ramones. So yeah, there's a little bit of a connection there. Tenuous, but we got it.
And I'm not the biggest fan, right? I like this song.
Oh, me either.
I'm not a big fan, but the thing that annoys me the most personally is I'm a huge fan of the Clash, right? And no matter what Clash documentary I watch, in fact, there's a really good one, The Future is Unwritten, about Joe Strummer specifically, about his whole life, and who has to make an appearance every 5 minutes? Bono. And Bono just keeps going on and on about how much, the Clash are a huge influence. And I'm like, are they? I mean, politically, I guess.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah. I mean, I do have, I did delve into some background info on U2, just to bring, not U2, but the band U2.
Oh, wait.
It's like, I got all your secrets, guys. You've been boxed. I got my own
I thought
box.
I flushed that.
That's weird. The weird thing in my head was like going for the box, and then I was thinking of doing the whole like a batch of toxic waste from your cool. That's a whole damn season ago now. That reference.
Jesus, yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago / 6 weeks ago. I can't.
Yeah, well, it's crazy the passage of time, but yeah, just for the sake of some context here, actually. Then, so we're going to be talking about U2. All right, so the band U2. Formed in the mid-70s, like 1976. They're made up of Bono, who is Paul David Hewson, in his actual name. The Edge, not just... One of the things that really bugs me about U2 is when you see them interviewed, he's always referred to as The Edge. Like, you'll see Bono interrupting them going, sorry there, The Edge. instead of just Edge, or like Edgy or something like that. It's always the Edge every time.
Well, you know that now there's a wrestler called Edge. So
I've just watched Money Plane last night.
with Edge in it.
The Edge and Kelsey Grammer. It was a dream come true. Let me tell you.
It's
The Kelsey Grammer.
It's phenomenal. It's like it's so cheap. Like all the money obviously went to Kelsey Grammer, and like
all the money went to the plane, Niall.
No, that's the thing, because the interior of the plane is very blatantly, it's just in a warehouse, and they've just put up a bunch of curtains, and just cut out some windows to make it look like a plane, and you never see out the windows, it's just light.
Oh, come on, you could at least CGI something out the window.
No, they ain't got the budget for CGI.
It's the Ed Wood, you're standing in it moment of... Where's the cockpit?
There is bits of turbulence, and you can just tell it's just like, right, just shake the camera. There we go.
That's the cheapest yet. You can do a green screen. I have a green screen in this room, and I bought it just to use when I stream on Twitch, which is like once a month. So they can afford a green screen.
That's how Kelsey Grammer took it all. He just came in and he just whipped that green screen out of the goddamn studio. But yeah, the Edge is David Evans, and then there's Adam Clayton and Larry Mullen Jr., who I think is the Spoons guy from that Simpsons episode. They're in.
That's all I know him from, I'll be honest.
But yeah, so in '76, it's actually Larry Mullen was the one who started the band, technically. Because he posted up on a school bulletin board about just looking to form a band with a bunch of just local kids and stuff. 6 people showed up in his kitchen. And then over, a time, a few of them dropped out, including the Edge's older brother, which must be awkward now that they're like superstars. And he's like, remember when I used to be in that band with you, little brother? It's like,
that will cause friction.
It's like, hey, not little brother, little the Edge.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, they started as a punk cover band called Feedback.
That
then
makes
they changed.
sense. That's how you start out, isn't it? You cover your favorite songs.
Yeah.
It's like in your school stuff.
Then they changed their name to The Hype. And then they changed their name to U2 because of the list of names they had. They thought that was the most ambiguous, and they disliked it the least.
So it's not about the plane, or is it?
No, it just seems to be like, just got a random, just U2 just seemed to be, that sounds okay. But then, they won a talent competition in Limerick to record a demo for CBS. For CBS Ireland, which was sponsored by Harp Lager. Anyone who's been to Ireland will know that Harp Lager is total piss. So it's just one of those things, like, you don't get it outside Ireland. No one in Ireland actually likes it, but like they can't even export it. It's like,
but they're so good at spotting pop music talent.
Apparently so.
That's where all their resources are.
Well, they're not putting any time or effort into the beer, you see, because they're too busy with the music.
We're just like, oh boy, these guys really got something.
Yeah, but then in the midst of all the, they're kind of dithering around. Hot Press Magazine is really behind them, and then they released a single, and then their first international single, 11 O'Clock TikTok, was produced by Martin Hannett, who's quite an acclaimed record producer back in the 70s, heavily features in the movie 24 Hour Party People, about like Joy Division and Factory Records and stuff. And in that movie, he's played by Andy Serkis, who of course is now going to be Alfred in the new Batman movie. So there you go.
It's all connected.
Everything is connected. They had their debut album, Boy, peaked at number 63 in the charts.
Is that the one with the young boy as the cover? It's like a black and white.
Ironically enough, it is.
Yeah. No, I was thinking that was the one, but I couldn't remember if it was that or is it called... Don't they have another one called War, which has a similar cover?
Yes. They also have one called One as well, I believe. Their second album, October, was a complete flop. Oh. And then they kind of decided to get together. And they regrouped in 1983 for War, which is the album that features Sunday Bloody Sunday, which of course is... If you're talking about U2 being a politically driven band, Sunday Bloody Sunday is about the pinnacle of that, really, because that's obviously directly referencing like a massacre by the British Army in Ireland in the 70s and stuff.
I'd still rather hear Joe Strummer do it, though.
Yeah. And then, the New Year's Day comes from that album, and then they start gathering a lot of momentum. And eventually, you got Joshua Tree, Rattle and Hum, and by the late 80s, Rolling Stone has dubbed them the band of the 80s, basically. And they were so big and so stadium cramming that apparently they said by the time this song came out, in 1995, U2 fatigue has set in.
I can see that, yeah. People are
I can
sick
see
of
that,
them.
I agree.
as a kid, I was aware that people hated them.
So yeah, that was the weird thing. 'Cause last week, what is your opinion of U2, Philip? Like, just in general, like.
Yeah, I'm with John. I would rather hear Joe Strummer do it. I and by the way, just to plug it out there, if you haven't heard the Stay Free audio documentary, have you heard this?
I haven't, but that's one of my favorite songs.
It's the story of the Clash told by Chuck D, narrated by Chuck D. Look it up. But anyway, that'll cleanse your palate of all the U2-ness. I think the thing that I've often grappled with that bothered me about U2 is that I didn't understand, or I've never quite wrapped my head around why they are so big. Like I always kind of equated them to REM because they're sort of similar-ish and they have similar political leanings, and it's just like that's kind of when I found them together. And I realized that over the course of history, U2 is bigger, but I was always surprised that it was like, that's the one that's bigger? I figured they're about the same level. And so I feel like my problem with them is almost just fan reaction, where like if they weren't superstars, I would be less grumpy at them. But because they're apparently superstars, I'm like, they're superstars?
Somehow.
Those guys?
I was actually reading an article during the week because the place they've sort of disliked the most is in Ireland. Like Ireland hates U2. And so much so that like there have been investigative articles into why Ireland hates U2 so much. And a lot of it is what you were citing last week, John, as Maria Lewis put it earlier in the season, tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah, I get that. It's a thing, isn't it? You don't want anyone to succeed when you're from a small place. Like, well, you should be like us.
And apparently Bono himself feels like, yeah, they're just jealous. And
that could totally be it. I see that. I also kind of think that, like, I don't know, there's also kind of none that I've experienced, no humor in there.
No.
Yeah. It's not that it has to be wall-to-wall jokes, but I mean, it's just, at some point with music, I get the feeling that, like, look, if you're going to be this political, you better be, like, wouldn't you spend your time, like, registering people to vote? Like, I get that you have to perform, but, like, it feels like you're wasting your time because it seems like you'd clearly rather be doing something else, and I'd rather you be doing something else. So why don't you go out and do that?
Yeah.
And instead it was like, no, go do this while we play these giant crowds. And I don't know, it's just I've never been able to reconcile the two.
But I did get some details from The Guardian. They delved a little bit further into people's dislike of the band. And it says, Bono believes some of the Irish vitriol can be traced back to the band's opposition to NORAD, an organization that funded the IRA during the Troubles. Some cast-iron Republicans can point to U2's ties to the British establishment, plus Bono's own honorary knighthood. As soon as you see that, it's like, oh, he accepted a knighthood. Then of course he's going to be out in Ireland. And that's been cited as a treachery, basically. Apparently another issue that dogs the band is their tax arrangements. In 2006, U2 moved part of their business to the Netherlands, where the tax rate on royalty earnings is more favorable for artists. So when you operate on U2's financial scale, this is a major detail. Ireland was scalded by the global 2008 financial crash, communities were eroded by austerity, while the band's reputation as tax dodgers persisted. As People Before Profit Party TD Bridge Smith says, Bono is seen as part of that cohort of very wealthy people who avoid paying tax in this country, but enjoys the fruits of being part of the country. So, that's one thing I was saying too. There is a real vibe of hypocrisy about Bono.
I think that's the thing. Like, on one hand, I expect big groups and whatnot to be doing stuff like that. But when you're a band like U2, pretend like you're all about causes and stuff. That's when it comes across like really insincere. Like, you just
like the tax evasion thing. I'm a big Rolling Stones fan too, and I know they had major tax problems, and that's why they like fled the country. But it's almost beneficial to them, to their style, to be like, well, we're dirtbags.
Yeah.
And, our whole thing is being dirtbags. So when they behave like dirtbags, you're kind of like, well, yeah, there they go again.
Fair enough.
But yeah, these guys, it seems like, it's like, you got to look out for everybody. Now, let's make sure our investment banker has taken care of our portfolios so that it is most beneficial for us.
Yeah, I think there's always that vibe, too, because they're so big and bombastic. You'll get Bono coming out and talking about like the environment and the carbon footprints. And it's like, you fly around in a fucking jumbo jet everywhere. I've seen your stage shows. There's no way that's good for the environment. The amount of energy you're sucking into those things. Like, it just seems like you just want to preach to the little people about what they should be doing while you just sit around like lounging them in like been a big shot basically and not heeding your own advice.
Yeah. I get it. I'm with you. I felt like I would have to be prepared to stand up for myself, but we found that we're all accidentally on the same plane.
Well, I said this last week, and I think I've said it a couple of times. I understand U2 are one of the biggest bands ever, but I've never met a fan of U2. Everyone hates them.
So maybe this is regional bias or something, but I grew up in Illinois, central of the United States, and went to college there too, and that's where I first experienced or met big fans, and that's when I was first surprised by it, because I knew of the band, just listening to radio. It was like they were everywhere. Yeah. I was like, okay, yeah, there they are. But then to meet people who like revered them, that was where I was first surprised.
That would shock me.
Oh my. Okay. Yeah. We're doing this.
I do have one friend he's dead set with the Joshua Tree is an album. He's like, that album is fantastic. And it's like, you two. He says, don't f***ing go down that road with me. Or like, he's very, very cagily defensive about them. But I think it must be because so many people give them crap all the time. So he's like, look, I can't. Sure. I'm not.
And now I'm gonna do this thing where I argue and then I argue with myself, where I can see why maybe part of what turns people off is the same thing that turns people on, where there is an earnestness, however honest it is, but it is earnest, like watching musical theater is earnest. Like, man, that guy is laying his heart out there. If you're not into musical theater, it is hard to take. If you are, it's the greatest.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just the way that I'm tuned, or that other people are tuned, where it's like, I can't take that level of that performance. I like these other things, and whereas other people, I know those Joshua heads. They are out there.
Yeah. Other random tidbits, though, I just found out that I thought would be of interest, because we were talking about you too, where the name Bono and the Edge, the names Bono and the Edge come from. Because Bono, of course, as I said, Paul David Hewson, but apparently he was part of a surrealist street gang called the Lipton Village. And the gang had a ritual of nickname giving. And Bono, at the time, had several nicknames. First was Stein Hig Vansun Husen Legal Bang Bang Bang.
What?
Yeah.
I can't. Why didn't that stick?
I'm surprised that actually he remembered it enough to tell someone for Wikipedia or whatever.
Of course, he remembers that classic.
Then it was just Huseman, followed by Houseman, then Bon Murray, Bono Vox of O'Connell Street, and finally just Bono.
I know about Bono Vox. Yeah.
Bono Vox is an alteration of Bona Vox, a Latin phrase which translates to good voice.
That's a bit big-headed of him.
Apparently it's given to him by his friend Gavin Friday, and Bono apparently disliked the name. But when he found out it's translated to good voice, he sort of just accepted it then.
He's like, that's me!
Yeah. And then the Edge, he was given that nickname by the same Lipton Village Surrealist Street Gang. Okay. The nickname is commonly believed to be derived from the angular shape of his head. Which is...
All right, that one I like. I like that a lot more, because that seems like something you just. It's the difference between picking your nickname and getting a nickname.
Yes.
Where like, we're gonna call you the Edge. We're like, why? Oh, you guys,
because you got a stupid head.
Yeah, because like Bono Vox is like they're sucking up the Bono, and then the Edge is like, look at this weirdo with his friggin' edgy head.
Yeah.
But apparently, however, the origin of the name is disputed, and other theories include a description of his guitar playing and his preference for not fully becoming involved and therefore remaining on the edge of things. Ooh. I think the Edge, has spread those things. He knows it's about his goddamn weird head.
I thought it was going to be something much more crude, and it was about his how do I put it, tantric maybe abilities in the bedroom. He likes to edge.
Now I'm kind of like because he's always wearing that hat too. It's like, what? Because he's got an
Yeah.
angular face, but like, what do they know something we don't? They're like, oh, you take off that hat, and it's just like looking
Yes.
at like a plate or something. Like it's just so.
Yes.
I was picturing like a cone
it's his
head.
it gives him or as we say in our show, a pinhead.
Yeah.
He's a pinhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who it's really
Um,
about. That song.
We've oh my god, I love that song already, but now, oh man, if they're sticking it to the edge, oh, forget it.
But
We'll show those guys.
One other thing though, just because there was a whole big ream of stuff, and we could talk about U2 for weeks with the way these credits are going. But
No, you're all right.
Oh, that's okay.
but one other thing I did see that I was like, oh my god, what? Was that Bono is godfather to Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's children, Vivian and Knox. So
Okay.
Brangelina
Oh,
named one of their kids Knox.
after Alexander Knox.
Clearly after everyone's favorite Gotham Globe reporter.
You want another like tenuous tie-in? Back when I was talking about where I met those U2 fans, it was in my college. The name of the college is Knox College.
Oh my god.
Everything
So-
is connected.
Everything.
So he's doing
Yeah.
pretty well
It's a-
after leaving Gotham Globe. Then apparently got a college named after him.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, the Midwest valued him differently than the East Coast fictional world of Gotham City.
I really hope though it's just that like Brad Pitt's like, yeah, I really love the 1989 Batman movie, and I really love Robert Wool, so that's why we named the kid Knox. And then like when they were going through their breakup, it was that kid who was feeding the press all the stories and stuff, and
Sure.
walking into his parents' bedrooms was like, oh, so I understand you're breaking up. I hear the divorce lawyer's even on a file. True, and just taking out a little tape recorder and stuff.
Beat it, Knox.
Yeah, it's like Angelina slipped on a banana peel. Okay.
I have something about this actual song.
Ooh,
yeah.
The Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me. And it was two things related to the movie, where one, I remember in the lead up, it might have been during them making it, you know, they had those blurbs back when you had printed media. They said something about the potential of, and I think they used the phrase like Schumacher's friend Bono making a cameo.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh no, oh no. And so in a way, I feel like it's a slight bullet dodge that then they got this song. But I've been thinking about this song, and thinking about the Batman movies, especially these 90s, 89, 90s movies, and how this Batman Forever feels like sort of a soft reboot of the franchise.
Oh yeah.
And in that, all the way down to like, we got to get back to the hit singles, incorporating them. And then if you go deeper, like the Batman soundtrack by Prince, listening to it, it feels like Purple Rain 2.0 or Sign of the Times 2.0. It feels like,
does, yeah.
yeah. It you can hear parts of that, like particularly the song, Prince's song "It" is on Sign of the Times, and I was like, oh, he just kind of took this vibe and then made an album of Batman songs, right? And I feel like the same thing with this, where like Hold Me, Thrill Me feels like Mysterious Ways 2.0. It was like, go do that thing from that hit album again. They're like, you got it, boss. And then they just kind of
Whatever you say.
whatever you say, knock out some jams. And it, I don't know, it all kind of fits into the, look, we need money from this cash cow, so please do this template. Thank you. Next.
Yeah. Well, what do you actually think of the song though? Like, because I'm struck now because I can't gauge my own opinion accurately because I love it, but I don't know if it's because I was 8 in the summer of '95.
Yeah, exactly.
And this song was everywhere, and I love this movie. So no matter what you could tell me Bono shot, came up and shot my dad in the head yesterday, and I'd still listen to the song. I'll be like, this is a pretty good tune though.
No, I agree. The vexing part about saying you don't like U2 is that by the sheer number of songs that they've done, and it's like they obviously have learned something. It's like, I can say, I can't stand U2. Now here's my top 10 songs by them.
Yeah.
There's still like a bunch of songs where I'm like, ugh, I don't like this, but and like I can name it. And this is one of those songs that I remember liking a lot back when it came out. I owned the soundtrack. I played the song and I was like, yeah, sure. It probably helps that I was a little younger than that I didn't know all my other future opinions about U2. I was blissfully naive to be like, oh, they're a band and they play rock songs. Great. There it is. Taken without all the baggage that maybe even they themselves bring, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I quite like it. I'm a fan. I would listen to this over most other U2 songs.
I will admit,
Sure.
I still do have a little... It's just inbuilt in me, even listen to it, just as it is on a soundtrack. During the little breaks of the lyrics and stuff, I am still hearing, if the bat wants to play, we'll play. You still have that music video in my head of oh, that was a great video.
The drops.
Oh, I love that so much.
The sound drops.
It's oh, it's a trap, and all that sort of stuff. It's oh, it was great.
Isn't even it's the car, right? Chicks love the car.
Yeah,
in
that's
the video too.
That's in there too. Beginning with
They really doubled down on that line.
Yeah.
They really thought,
Oh, yeah.
this is the one.
Hey, give him the next damn movie. They're still no,
Yeah.
you're gonna laugh at this line, all right?
Boy, they really did.
Yeah.
I do have some notes on the actual credits. I didn't comb through every single one.
Oh, good.
Because that would be ridiculous. And, listeners to the show, if you're coming back again for more credits here, you know what we do. We just pick ones that sound interesting to us. Now, that's not including, of course, this one of Chubby Businessman, which I thought was very harsh, and I don't appreciate the body shaming.
Who was Chubby Business? Who played Chubby Business?
He was that was the not Gordon, wasn't it, from the Nigmatech party?
Oh yeah, Jed Curtis. Yeah,
yeah, the guy where why isn't that Commissioner Gordon? He looks just like him.
Oh, the guy who goes in the box.
Yeah, that's just a bizarre choice of well, Gordon would be there. Why not just have it be him? What are you doing with this other guy?
He's also not Harry Potter's uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I did quite I looked into some, and we got to Harvey's thugs here, the Two Tonne Gang, as we've dubbed them. And one of them, Joe Sabatino, I just liked the name, so I looked him up. And he is going to return in Batman and Robin as a villain called Frosty. That's an original name. I wonder who he's with.
He got a name, though. He upgraded.
He did. He got a name.
Ironically, he's Bane's best friend or something.
yeah. Oh, it's a coincidence, that, yeah, completely. But he is also in everybody's favorite Rocky movie, Rocky 5.
I knew you were going to say Rocky 5.
As well as The X-Files, The Ring, as in the horror movie, The Young and the Restless, the soap, the Mafia video games, Veep, and most importantly of all, Pamela Anderson's VIP.
Oh, nice. I used to watch VIP all the time, every Sunday.
It was great.
Yeah, I always enjoyed it. It did have a, Pamela Anderson kind of gets crap because people think she's like a ditzy, dumb blonde and stuff.
No, she's totally not.
You can tell now in hindsight, it's she obviously knew how to capitalize on everything.
Sure.
And so looking back on VIP, it's that was very knowing. That was her completely playing up her own image and stuff. I think she's she's a lot more calculating than, particularly now she's been out of the public eye, but she's still a millionaire. So she's obviously made some wise choices in her life.
Looking back at it too, she's had a really weird life in terms of career too, where she was this bombshell, and then they basically built, I don't know if they really built Baywatch around her, but I mean it feels like they did. And then things like that, then it's she capitalized on what people knew about her, and now she's dating Julian Assange.
Oh yeah,
right?
I totally forgot about this.
And you're wait, what does Julian Assange have on Pamela Anderson? It's super weird. But I mean I can't tie those two together.
I'm a big fan of her on social media, right? I love following her Instagram. She's a big advocate for animal rights and all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
She's really smart, and you don't expect it, which probably says a lot more about the way society makes us think about people.
Yeah.
For sure. We really learned something here.
We are. We like teaching the children.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, just because I looked into a few names too, so I don't know if you want to do one each, John. Go back and forth that way.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I looked into some names too.
Oh, okay.
Well, I highlighted some names.
First one I got down was Kelly Vaughn, who was Showgirl. In just, she's the second to last credit in the main cast. But Deputy John Fink we did cover because he was the guy next to Gordon. On the rooftop during who the hell is that and all that stuff. But yeah, she was but she's in something called Shasta McNasty.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I
remember this.
It was a UPN show with Oh crap! What's that guy's name? He looks like the Joker.
Jake
and
Busey.
Yes, Jake Busey.
Why did no one ever go to Jake Busey to play the Joker? Actually, now it seems like such an obvious choice.
Now you've said
It
it,
does.
I need it in my life.
Yeah. I guess he kind of did it in The Frighteners, because he was genuinely frightening in The Frighteners. It was just like, even when they took off the CGI hood, it's like, oh, you never needed him to be the Grim Reaper. You just needed him to look like Jake Busey the whole time. But yeah, so she was also in Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood. Of course, co-stars Marlon Wayans, who was one time almost Robin. She's in Joey, and then nothing after 2010, which of course means she must be dead. Because that's just the way these things
That's
work.
the logic of the show.
Of course.
I've heard this logic and I approve.
It's the only way to do it. You know, if you've disappeared for more than 6 weeks, you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead.
You'll be dead.
Yeah.
I noted that these credits I got basically like Cameo Land, where you have the credit for George Wallace, the comedian, Bob Zamuda, who I didn't even know was in the movie.
Oh,
yeah, same.
We can't find him. He's presumably in there.
Oh my God, wouldn't it be amazing if this is where he and Jim Carrey first teamed up and there are scenes where Bob Zamuda is playing the Riddler?
Oh, that would be great, actually. Yeah.
But like this is where En Vogue is credited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
but I have two favorite names. Well, I have one favorite name and then one thing I would need you guys as experts to clarify. One is there's an art direction guy named Joseph P. Lucky.
How did I miss that?
Oh my God, it sounds like from a comic book where like somebody Batman shakes down for information, like a grifter. It's like, what's the news, Lucky? I don't know nothing. So he appears to not be dead, by the way. I want to clarify that. It looks like he is still working.
Damn it.
Sorry. The mask of death. But there's one character that says it's William Mesnick, credited as bald guy.
Oh yeah.
So I want to know, is this the guy who says at the party, Batman? Is that him?
That's the thing. We actually, weirdly enough, we talked about that guy.
I'm sure you did.
We can't find who is the Bat guy, man, because that guy has hair. So it's like, well, it can't be him.
Yeah.
But the William Mesnick is the guy. He's in an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm as a pharmacist. He's the nobody bribes a pharmacist. That guy is him.
Oh yeah.
I love that one.
Okay.
But it depends on Joel Schumacher's version of like, oh, the guy had a receded hairline, so he's bald guy. It's like, no. Like if he's got hair on the head, that ain't bald. Like I guess it's bald in a George Costanza kind of way.
So
but
what
like,
you're saying, Niall, is you do not accept him as a member of the bald community.
No, if you peg someone as bald guy, I want to see a chrome dome. I don't want to see.
I want to see it shining.
Yeah, I don't want to see like a full head of
shine.
hair just a little bit further back in his head.
No.
That's
not right.
No, but in tying back to the Bono and U2 thing, sorry everybody. If they had made cameos, this is where they would appear apparently, because like it's things like, well, that's where En Vogue is, so they're the street gang.
Mm-hmm.
All of the reporters are just like randos.
Yeah.
I think that's where if J.J. Abrams were making a Batman movie, this is where he would put all his friends, because it's like, oh, where's the party and the reporters? Great, who wants to be in it? And they just bring them in.
Like at that Enigma Tech party, we did point out like the band that are playing seemed to be a reference to Prince, because they're kind of dressed up like Prince would dress up. But it seems
they are, aren't they?
Yeah, I wonder if there was any point like Joel Schumacher had that set in his mind, and he wanted then like, oh, you too, we'll dress you up like Prince, and that'll be the joke. And then Bono was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm either there as me, and we get to do a full musical number. And then it's like, no. Like,
now we're right back to disliking them.
Yeah.
If they would have done it, if they would have done that, I would have been like, oh, well, good for them. They can like laugh at themselves, but no.
No. It's even again, that article earlier, like they're doing like, interviewing people in the street about like, why do you hate the U2 so much? And it was a little back and forth of people been like, I hate him because of this. Oh wait, maybe not, and stuff. Like one guy was like, why is he always wearing the sunglasses? What kind of an asshole goes around 24/7 wearing sunglasses all the time? And then they were like, he's got glaucoma, and then he's like, oh, okay then. Just had to accept it. All right, then it was not. Well, he's a dick anyway, but still.
Yeah,
Oh.
I made that same mistake.
Although, actually, you talk about George Wallace there. Because the other art director, Chris Burrion Moore, of course, that was George Wallace played Mayor Burrion Moore, who would have been named after the art director, Chris Burrion Moore. And I got a few little details on him because he's got some interesting stuff in his his quiver. He did Twins, of course, Arnie and Danny DeVito.
Oh yeah,
Arachnophobia.
The team up we didn't know we had.
I think we'll probably end up covering Twins at some point.
Yes, please. I love Twins so much. Although I'm scared that they keep talking about doing a third one, a second one with a third brother is what I'm trying to say.
I remember hearing it was going to be Eddie Murphy, and now I think Peter Dinklage and Jason Momoa want to do a remake. I think.
Don't do a remake, but also don't do a sequel, please.
But,
especially Eddie Murphy, because the entire joke there is uncomfortable to me. It's like, he's black. It's like, I don't want to laugh.
And they're not.
But
that's awkward.
But we've got Arachnophobia, of course, classic.
I was terrified of that as a kid. Yeah,
it's a great movie though. Arachnophobia really stands up these days.
Doesn't
Karate Kid 3, The Rocketeer, The Flintstones. Of course, classic hangover movie if you're ever really stuck, The Flintstones. Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger again.
I love that as well. I think I'm the only person in the world who does.
Spider-Man 3 and Dinner for Schmucks, which of course features Lucy Punch, who was in the Lemony Snicket TV show. Of course, Jim Carrey been the original Lemony Snicket movie, and Bo Welch been the kind of one of the driving forces behind that TV show, who of course was the production designer on Batman Returns. So there you go.
Everything's connected, but most importantly, I have a big thing for Lucy Punch, so that's all that matters. I saw another name that I loved. The stunt team had someone called Diamond Farnsworth, which is the greatest name of all time.
That's a real swing back and forth name. Because Farnsworth
it sounds like a wrestler turned scientist.
Oh my god, yes. I mean, in the early 90s, WWF, you had to have another profession as your character. That was a thing. Like, there was the Repo Man, the Mountie,
and the
Undertaker, the Big Boss Man, who was a cop.
Well, I mean, you always need a viable career to fall back on if the wrestling doesn't go.
It's just what they knew. It's what they knew.
Bob Sparkplug Holly, who was a NASCAR driver, these kind of things. So Diamond Farnsworth, he's a stuntman, stunt actor, stunt coordinator, and doubled for Scott Bakula in Star Trek Enterprise. And he received no credit for that work, which is awful. And he does look like him. I looked him up, but not till today. We're crediting you, man. But
maybe
he's also been
in... I didn't want the credit. I saw Enterprise. I didn't want anything to do with it.
Oh, he's also been in The Terminator, They Live, getting back to the wrestling. Oh, God, loads of stuff. I'm not doing all of it. Fugitive, Commando, one of my favorite movies. First Blood, Rambo 2, Halloween 2, Ghostbusters, Quantum Leap, which I assume it's Scott Bakula. Again. Usual Suspects, 370 episodes of NCIS, and most importantly of all, Jag. I used to watch Jag. Anytime I was off school, Jag was on at like noon, so I'd always be eating my lunch and be like, I don't know, I'll just leave this on.
I think Jag only exists for like either people doing that or just retired men. Men in their 60s who just got nothing going on a Tuesday afternoon.
We bring Jag up more on this show than I thought we would.
I think, I'm sure you bring up Jag more than Jag.
I find out next year, Uma Thurman started her career on Jag. What the hell?
It's a secret connection. Yes. I had another credit to note that I thought it was funny that even in the credits, Knights of Neon still have their fingerprints. that they're apparently this big neon house. They're a production team that makes neon stuff, and it feels like arguably the look of the movie is represented right there by these guys that they're like, we're going to work with them, sign them up for a couple movies.
They must have got like a special deal, because I saw that and I looked at their website because they still exist. So I was like, I'm going to check them out. And you can get custom made neon signs and things. But if you want to just like rent one, if you want to hire one out that they've already got, you're going to be looking at between $250 and $500 a week each.
So maybe and I mean, we're looking at this in modern eyes, so maybe it was different back then, but I would almost imagine it very possible that as they're making this movie, they're like, well, we're just going to hire a neon person or a neon team, and they do custom work. They're like, please make a bunch of weapons for this gang, make a bunch of street signs, like go nuts. And they were like, great, our kids will go to college forever.
Hell yeah, they must have made a fortune.
They must have.
That's one thing that really bugs me about them, though, is it's Knights of Neon, no K. It's like, we are the Knights of Neon. But they're like, no, we're Knights of Neon as an abstract idea about nighttime and neon. It's like, but it's just there, just add the K. Like, just there you go, you're done.
And if you add the K, there's even more reason to go, nee.
We are the Knights of Neon.
On. Oh, that's I bet they ran that up, and some nerdy cousin was like, "Hold on, you guys."
It's like, all right, we're dropping the K.
We're dropping the K.
It's like, no, that's the best part. You can't do that. Screw you. I did also look at the set director, Elise Cricket Rowland.
Yes,
and I especially like them because they've worked on Falling Down, which can we spoil this for everybody? We are going to review imminently as of recording.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well, again, because we haven't recorded it yet. Falling Down, would it stand as Joel Schumacher's best movie now?
I'd have to watch it again. I don't know. I remember liking The Client.
That's the thing. The Client's one I've never watched because it seems like it's so boring. But then
I'm sure it's not great now. But I remember thinking at the time, it was like I liked it more than like The Firm or The Pelican Brief. It was at least like it moved kind of fast, but I couldn't tell you one thing about it.
Yeah.
Now,
but
Falling Down, I remember thinking the first half of it was really like darkly funny.
Yeah.
Just twisted and kind of hilarious.
And then it just went dark.
And then it's really something. But I don't know enough of his movies.
Yeah, I'm gonna be curious to get to it because I remember Falling Down has been like, I remember when I was younger thinking it went a bit too crazy at the end, where he's like got a bazooka and stuff. But like, I think at the time saying like, oh, this is really tapping into like a cultural, it's making a commentary here. Now I don't know if it will stand as like, is this still relevant today, or is this like the most dated movie of all time now? Because I guess it depends on what angle you're coming at Michael Douglas's character at. But I guess we'll find out when we review it.
Yeah. What a tease!
Ooh, we will get there. And Elise also worked on Ed Wood, which I love.
Yeah,
Children of the Corn, and most importantly, Mannequin.
Jack.
Sadly, not Jack.
I was really hoping you're going to. Not Jag, but you were going to bring up Hang Time. It's like, it's the other show we always... Yeah. I think we had an entire bonus episode last season all about Hang Time.
What is Hang Time? I can't remember what Hang Time is.
It was like a Saved by the Bell kind of show, but it was about a basketball team. And then one time, a girl tried out for the basketball team.
What?
You can't have a girl on the basketball team. But I think they got used to her very, very quickly. So it was just like this basketball team with one girl.
And then it was just like all these things, it was a case of the coach. He was going to go pro, but he got injured.
Yeah, and the coach was pretty much like their dad. Sure. Like anytime they did anything, the coach had to come in to fix it, and it was always like it might as well have been his own flesh and blood that was taking pills to study better or something like that. That kind of crap.
Sure.
Oh, it was so good. Especially funny that we liked it so much because nobody knows anything about basketball here that isn't Michael Jordan.
Well, I think I never liked Space Jam because I'm not into basketball at all. But Hang Time, I guess, because maybe the basketball was such a small element of it. It was just like, like 5 seconds at the end, you see them play a basketball game for a couple of minutes.
It was the Friday Night Lights of its time.
I had another note I had the hairstylist, Yolanda Tusing, which I thought sounded like tousled, which was amazing because she does hair.
Yeah.
And she worked on Ed Wood, which I think is an absolute masterpiece.
You are correct.
They also, though, worked with... how do I pronounce this now? Is it V. Neal? We've brought them up before.
Yeah, I think V. Neal worked in the previous movies, didn't they?
Yeah, and they're on this as well. And they've worked together and got an Oscar for their troubles. They, I wrote down where they got the Oscar from. And
That's what I was thinking. Like, what, for this?
No, not for this. Well, I've lost what they got the Oscar for. But they've done Mrs. Doubtfire and Pee-wee's Playhouse, so there's everything connected.
Nice.
We
All
talked
right.
about Pee-wee.
There was one of Harvey's goons earlier in the credits too. It was called Pee-wee Piemonte.
Oh, that's great.
So everything's connected. Just might as well just bring it up.
Yeah.
Although I thought there was one credit that you would love, Niall, especially. At the end here, there's Batsuit Wrangler.
Oh yeah.
They keep getting away.
I don't. Why is it Batsuit Wrangler? What? And he also worked on Returns.
People just seeing these like disembodied bat suits booting it out, and it's like, oh no, you don't. Like,
I'm thinking the only thing I can think is that maybe there's a lot of parts that and maybe like the cave is dark, so they can't like find all of them. It's like, okay, we found one glove but no gauntlets, and we found a gauntlet and no glove. Call in the Wrangler, and they bring him in.
Or it's just like every time Michael Keaton dropped a glove, you just see this guy come out and pick it up.
Yeah,
like, hey, there he is. There's the Wrangler.
It's a compulsion.
And he was also on Batman Returns. He'll be back for the next film, and he does it again for The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Returns.
Hey, you can't. Like, no one ever said the bat suits weren't well wrangled in the Schumacher movies. So.
You can't. You can say a lot of things, but you can't say that.
When you think of Batsuit wrangling, only one man comes to mind.
I actually, when you look into day merch, I actually looked into the Robin suit wrangler, Ed Fincher.
That guy, shorter career.
Like, the thing is he's just like, at day merch, can you not do both these suits? Like, no, Jesus Christ, it's a full-time job wrangling a damn bat suit. You only
Clearly
do
don't
two
know
of
what
them.
you're talking about if you think I can do two.
Yeah. Did he do all the bat suits? Did he do the Panther suit and the Sonar suits? Like, oh no, it was a completely different team. It's required. Now, Ed Fincher, though, did Quarterback Princess with Helen Hunt, which is, and speaking about Hang
seen
Time.
That.
Yeah, I think that's the classic, like, there's a girl and she wants to join the football team.
Oh my God.
Oh, I thought it sounded like a porn film, but okay.
But yeah, I also worked on Point Break, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, which is great sequel. Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot, which is, it's got an exclamation point in the title, but it's not at the end. So that's like, for I Do Declare purposes, it's like, I mean, it's in there technically, but then it's like, you're emphasizing the stop, or My Mom Will Shoot. Because it seems like now you're going, the end of the title is less exciting because it's just like, you front loaded it too much. But then Encino Man, So I Married an Axe Murderer, The Majestic, which is the Frank Darabont Jim Carrey movie that the world despised for some reason.
It's the U2 of Frank Darabont movies.
And then The Aviator, which of course Howard Hughes, and people might remember from the other week, many Howard Hughes connections to Batman Forever. So it's all connected, I guess. The only other credit I actually had was just to go back, though, because I just had to take a screenshot of this, was for Christopher Burrian Moore, another movie he worked on, because I'd never heard of this thing, and I looked up the plot line, and I was like, what is this? He also worked on something called The Pickle from 1993, and the plot line is thus. Harry Stone, Danny Aleo, a formerly top-notch director, has had 3 disastrous movies in a row, facing dismissal from the top perch of Hollywood and financial ruin from back taxes. He is forced to take on a very commercial and, he believes, ridiculous movie. Now, as he faces the film's release, and he believes another total flop, which will complete his ruin, he meets up with his son and daughter and his former wives to examine his life and future. The film examines the turmoil a movie director goes through with a film release. His agent, Jerry Stiller, which, points right there for casting Jerry Stiller, assures him that he has a hit, while those around him wince at the thought of the movie within the movie. This movie is The Pickle, a supposedly social satire where a bunch of super white kids from Kansas take vegetables into space via super cucumber and land on an Earth-like planet where everyone lives only on beef and dies at the age of 49. As shown in the excerpts from the film, Little Richard stars as the president of the planet, who has 6 months to live Ali Sheedy heads up the Kansas contingent, and Griffin Dunn is the president's aide who falls in love with Sheedy. It's like, this film sounds great. Like,
Little Richard is the president of Earth.
yeah.
I mean, why wasn't he?
I think there's a lot to get to that point, because there's almost some Danny Alejo's like, well, whatever, and then it's like, whoa, wait, what? At the end, it's like, that's your movie right there.
Man, that is, I guess, ambitious.
Yeah, that could be like this year's Rockula, where me and John ended up doing a Patreon review of Rockula, because it had that guy who Batman shoved the dynamite down the front of his pants in Batman Returns. It's like, he was in this Rockula movie. We should talk about that. But we might have to look up the pickle just because of his connection to Christopher Burry and more.
Even if we don't cover it, I just want to watch it.
Yeah.
Oh crap! I didn't notice how long we've been recording. We're over an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh my god. Okay. Well,
You promised. You promised rambling. You get rambling.
That's the thing. Normally we keep it to like 45, you know? But on the credits, we always go over an hour.
this is a free for all now, really.
Yeah, break it up. You just spawned your whole new habit of watching The Pickle and girls playing sports movies. You could do something with that.
We could just do like instead of a movies by minutes, we could just do going through the end credits of movies, and then just like, oh yeah, it's like 5 hours episodes.
You're a credit wrangler. You're credit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That is a serious niche for these movies by minutes, where people, present company excluded, that people often talk about. The ones that I've listened to, they're struggling a little bit through the credits. It was like, boy, if you could be ringers for that, you'd really have a nice little hobby.
I like it.
I think it's always the opening credits that got us. I think it was like the first 2 seasons, but not so much struggled, but it was a bit more like, we're just having to talk about names.
Is it relief? Is it relief that you've gotten, you feel like, oh, we did it, and now we can sort of like sit back and enjoy, oh yeah, remember this guy, and now we saw that, the end credits, the work is done in a way.
I think, a lot of pressure's off too.
Yeah, you're waiting to get to the moments.
It's kind of like, we've done the movie, so now we can just talk about whatever, basically. Whereas when it's at the beginning, it's kind of like, okay, so this Robert Wool was in, Bull Durham. Whereas then when you finally get to actual footage, you're like, oh, thank God. Okay, so we can talk about this one prostitute's hat or something. Like, there we go.
Oh, yeah, hat minute was magical.
But I mean, I'm noted out for this minute. I don't know if you guys have got much else to comment on.
I did have. So I've listened. I'm not caught up with this season, but I know that sort of your lingering question is the Chris O'Donnell 96 season. So I do have a personal experience with that. So when I first saw it, I guess I was 19 or 20 or something like that. And I had a job, and we saw it opening night with work friends. So they're all like 20-somethings, right? And it's boys and girls. And there was one woman whose name totally escapes me, who at least twice made like sort of swooning sounds in the movie. And I want to say at least one of them is like that sort of like hero shot of Robin when he's looking over Two-Face, that like on the Holy Rusted Metal, that part where she made a kind of noise of sort of like hum, like and then when we were done, and everybody's standing up and saying, what'd you think, what'd you do that, she was kind of like, I don't know if she was fanning herself, but she was making she was like, whew, got all I needed from that. So that was definitely a vote for Chris O'Donnell 90s hunk.
Oh man! Now I feel like I'm missing out on this guy or something. Like I wish I could see what other people see in him.
You're a fool.
You're a blind fool to that boy's wonderful chin and beautiful sweet eyes.
But yeah, like I think you kind of touched on it already, Philip. But do you have any other memories of this movie coming out?
I remember I was primed for it. I was always, as a kid, I was always a big Batman guy, and 89 was huge for me in that way, where it felt serious. Now in hindsight, you're kind of like, oh, well, yeah, sure. But in the moment, you thought you were seeing a revolution, some perfect for like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old to think, is a revolution. Yeah. And so, yeah, I got way into it, and then got into comics and the animated show. And so when this one came out, I remember it didn't bother me, the tone shift. I feel like the tone shift is there, and I can see it more clearly now, but I still kind of hold on to, I love the first 10 minutes. I almost wish they had started a trend, almost like James Bond, where you dispatch of a villain in the first 10 minutes. It has nothing to do with the plot. So like the whole thing, and I know he has like that annoying character, like exposition security guard guy, but in a way, I just love instantly Batman getting in a safe full of acid, getting pulled up by a helicopter. It was like, that's this. If I can't see it here, where can I see that? And I remember enjoying Jim Carrey for the most part, but that might have also been, it was like, this was his time, his moment.
Yeah. It might have also been the 90s.
It was the 90s. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. It was like, I feel like of all 4 of these movies, this is the one that had the best cape work. Like, especially Batman, and especially in that opening fight, where it's, you see him from above spinning around and the cape kind of trails around. And then when he runs to the safe, I remember him, he does like little twinkle toes movement when he's running away from the camera. But when it reverses and you see him running to the front of it, he's full tilt, and it's not flowing huge, but it looks awesome. It's like, oh my God, there it is. I can see it moving in real life. And then it just like, that's as my level of Batman fan, things like getting the cape right is way on my list. So I always kind of give it. It is. It's arguably, for me, it's more important than so many other parts to be like, do the ears look good? Does the cape look good? Okay.
You're the same as me with the lips. I need the lips to look right in the car.
Yeah. So yeah,
Just imagine Batsuit Wrangler Day merch just hearing this episode and then like, my work was done.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah. It is obviously like a, it's a commercial movie, and it's like more of an action movie than some faithful, treatise on the origin of Batman or whatever. But of like, yeah, but he does enough cool stuff that I'm kind of entertained for a while. Like I remember enjoying it, and I still kind of like enjoy it as it is. It's really silly, but I don't mind silly all the time.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things, like spoilers for like, I guess, our last episode of the season. But like after having looked at this movie minute by minute, I still come out the other side. I'm like, yeah, I still really enjoy this. It's still pretty. Like, there's loads of silly crap in it, but like, yeah, I don't know. If someone pitched to me, do you want to watch Batman Forever? I'd be like, sure, yeah. Like, I'm up for that.
It's got it. In a way, it knows what it's doing. Yeah. Not in necessarily like seen things, and maybe like, yes, Two-Face has been done better in other places, but for the point of the movie of just like, let's have some fun action scenes and let's have Batman run around and get in trouble and then get out of trouble, it was like, yeah, it kind of does what it needs to do. It didn't need to set up a world, and it didn't need to fulfill anything other than those like little obligations to just kind of have fun. So I was willing to say, yeah, sure, this isn't the end all be all. I have other Batman to enjoy. So show me what you got, movie. And I was always kind of like into it.
Oh, okay.
Hell yeah. I was as a kid, and then I fell out of favor with it, but now the show has brought me back. I'm a fan.
Hey, it worked. It worked.
Well, we will head off into the dark night once again. Would you like to tell our listeners where they can find you and your wonderful Ramones show on the interwebs?
Sure. You open up a browser and you open up Google. The show is called Ramones of the Day, where we examine every Ramones song alphabetically from 53rd to the word 0. We had lots of different interviews, including CJ Ramone came on.
Amazing.
Look for it was awesome. Actually, I'm gonna get really geeked out, but we realized, my partner Molly, co-producer of the show, realized halfway through, we start every show by saying, we're Ramones of the Day and this is the song title. And then the other one shouts 1, 2, 3, 4, like we're starting the show. She realized halfway through the interview with CJ that it was like, oh my God, let's ask him to say 1, 2, 3, 4. And we were like, and then we realized it's so nerdy of me, but I'm like getting so excited again because we realized only 2 people have ever shouted 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Ramones, Dee Dee and this guy. And we're like, let's do it. And yeah, so that's like our career highlight was getting CJ to shout 1, 2, 3, 4 for us.
Oh, that's the greatest thing ever.
But yeah, thank you. Yeah, we peaked early. But we did that, and I also produced a shorter comedy podcast called Super Punk Radio with another friend of mine, my writing partner Mike, where it's a radio station that promises nonstop music, but is actually 3 or 4 minutes of fake commercials. So That's Ramones of the Day and Super Punk Radio. I'm sure if you Google and look up in iTunes and that sort of stuff, you can find them.
Hey, do that, everybody. And come and speak to us at the usual places, Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave. And we're on Twitter, Instagram, all of that. But come to our Patreon. Couple of dollars and you get loads and loads of wonderful extra episodes. I was going to say bonus content, but it's all episodes, basically. We don't really do anything else. Just more audio, more for your ears. Shove them down your ears. And we will see you again for the next episode of Bat Minute Forever.
Next time, where the streets have many names, a steady stream of signatures continues to run as we're serenaded by the banshee behind Rattle and Hum. But, as talk of turning tricks on a crucifix is cut from the credit rendition, which human named Heindel has a handle on being the film's lead foam technician? Find out Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.